Good evening. A woman who the Church of England has accepted was abused when a young child by the former Bishop of Chichester, George Bell, has described her years of suffering since in her first broadcast interview.
Well, now in her 70s, she decided to speak out after several high-profile figures wrote strong defences of the bishop, who was widely admired within the church and who died in 1958. Last October, the church apologised and paid her compensation, saying words can never be enough to express the church's shame or our recognition of the damage done. Sarah Smith has our report.
Here, Princess Elizabeth,
loved and admired, described by some as close to a saint. In wartime Britain, Bishop Bell warned against appeasement, helped Jews escaping the Nazis and controversially spoke out against the bombing of Dresden. But nearly 6 decades after his death, the church issued an apology to a woman who came forward to say he abused her as a young girl. She's now speaking publicly after suggestions by some commentators that the church was too quick to condemn the bishop.
I want people to know that he might have been a hero, but heroes don't always do good things.
She tells of being taken to the cathedral by a relative who was caring for her, that the bishop would offer to read her stories, then, with her on his lap, abuse her. Abuse that lasted till her family moved away when she was 9, but has stayed with her to this day.
I was always worried about my own girls. You were always worried. You couldn't rest until they were tucked up and home, in bed, safe.
It was the church's own safeguarding committee which carried out the investigation into Bishop Bell, accepting, according to the Bishop of Durham yesterday, the veracity of the claims before them. But evidence has never been tested in court, and there are concerns from some that, while the apology and compensation payment might be reasonable based on the balance of probabilities, proclamations of guilt may have unfairly sullied the reputation of a great man.
What I've always been concerned about is the Church's decision to publicise these allegations as if they were proven facts, which they are not, and as far as I'm concerned, cannot be. They may be true. I can't possibly insist that they're not true, but they should be treated as allegations, and his reputation is so important that a lot more care should have been taken before releasing this claim, and as I say, apparently treating it as if it were fact.
What all seem to agree on is that it's an incredible blow to the church.
The only sensible stand here is an agnostic one, saying we can't be sure where the truth lies. You cannot cast doubt upon somebody who comes forward at this length of time and appears to be telling a coherent story and say they're lying. It's just not acceptable. But on the other hand, we have this extraordinary story of a great man, very much admired. A whole generation of Anglican Church people admired him. Now his name has been dragged down into the gutter. It's an appalling crisis, really.
The church failed to investigate when the case was first raised 20 years ago. Now it has given compensation and a formal apology.
I think he was awful to me. I can't say he ruined my life, but he didn't make it easy. I might have been happier. Perhaps I wouldn't have been so lonely.
The church has described her as brave for speaking out.
Oh, well, Sarah joins me in the studio now. Sarah, how did the church reach its conclusion?
Well, actually, that's one of the things that it's been criticised for, not being clear and transparent enough. It says that independent legal and medical reports were commissioned and that the evidence available was interrogated and evaluated. Now, the decision was taken on a balance of probabilities, which is the legal test for a civil case, but not as high as that for a criminal case. And, of course, the bishop has been dead for many, many years. It's not quite known who was representing him in those proceedings. The Bishop of Durham, now, he was the lead on safeguarding in this case. He said the decision to name Bishop Bell wasn't taken lightly, but the terrible way the church has dealt with so many of these other abuse cases means the one thing that they really don't want to be accused of is a cover-up.
OK, Sarah, thank you very much.